St. Louis FC in desperate need of a win in the USL Championship, as tonight they host Bethlehem Steel at the Worldwide Technology. Tonight's match is brought to you by the Cheshire Inn. Welcome along for commentary of this one, Chris Whittingham alongside the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey. And Gary, it's been 3 months to the day since St. Louis last won in USL. One of the losses in this 9-match winless run in the league was to Bethlehem Steel back on June the 15th.
Yeah, it's been a terrible run, hasn't it? So fantastic in the US Open Cup, but just struggling to get points in the USL Championship. And this was a match at Bethlehem Steel. Early on, it was James Chambers who gave the host the lead in the 19th minute. But it did seem to go from bad to worse. He was delighted, but for St. Louis, it was Ferris who pops up with the next one. Look at that bit of skill. Goes right, goes left, comes back, tucks it away, leaves the defenders floundering there. They're 2-0 up, and you were hoping that that might be the end of it. Not to be. Cortez pops up with a third 3-1 final score.
And more on Cortez goals in a moment, but first want to get to our electrical connection player to watch. If St. Louis are going to rectify their defense, this man is going to be a big part of it, Sam Fink.
Oh, he's a superb player, so strong at the back, and not only can he help tighten what's been a pretty leaky defense in the last few games, but he can score a few goals as well. He needs the penalties to help him, but set pieces, he is the man, and certainly they've been conceding way too many goals. 2.2 in the last 6 matches, not good enough.
As we get to our defensive keys to the game presented by Fortinet, let's focus a bit more on that.
Yeah, well, because they're allowing more shots on goals, more crosses from out wide. That's why St. Louis have gone from 0.6 goals conceded per game early on in the season to 2.2. For Bethlehem Steel, they're not off the hook either. Nearly 2 goals conceded per game. And if they're to get themselves into the playoffs, they need a tighter defense. So defense, the big issue for both teams tonight.
They kept a clean sheet a week ago, but allowing 36 shots to Louisville City in a 1-0 victory, as Bethlehem Steel do beat the champions away, and they try and make it 2 wins from 2 on their travel. St. Louis and Bethlehem Steel is next.
This year we developed Ale d'Or, which is a beer brewed exclusively for the St. Louis Football Club. We've been partners with STLC for coming up on 3 years now. St. Louis Football Club, got some Schlafly, call out our Luligan friends on the side. You'll be able to find Ale d'Or obviously out at Soccer Park and then at your local grocery in and around St. Louis, so we're really excited to get it out there in the market. We're excited to debut it in 16-ounce cans for the upcoming season.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org. When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Live pictures from the Worldwide Technology Soccer Park in Fenton, Missouri, as St. Louis FC are home with Bethlehem Steel this evening. This match is brought to you by the Cheshire Inn. Chris Whittingham, Gary Bailey here for commentary of this one, as we can now bring you our starting lineups, and they are brought to you by Schlafly for St. Louis FC. 3 changes from the team that lost by 4-1 against Tampa Bay Rowdies last weekend.
Yeah, Paris G coming in for Sean Reynolds at left back. Colin Fernandez for Russell Cicerone. And Fernandez getting his full debut, as is a catcher there for Caleb Calvert. So Yeah, some big changes here from coach Anthony Pulis, and let's see how it all plays out.
And a couple of recent signings go from making a substitute appearance a weekend ago into making their full debuts with a start tonight as we get to Bethlehem Steel, and only 2 changes from the team that went away from home against the champions Louisville City last Saturday night.
Yeah, Harriel in for Matt Real and Shivani there for Ferris. So not quite sure how they're going to line up. I'm looking at Ryan on the far right-hand side thinking, is he likely to push up there? But we'll see as soon as the sort of game gets underway, and we'll see where the players line up.
Yeah, you have sort of 3 recognized central midfielders in there. Ryan, a player who's had real positional versatility. As you have a look at Brendan Burke, the manager there for Bethlehem Steel. Certainly plenty of goals in the matches for Bethlehem Steel this year. 20 games played, 68 goals combined between scored and conceded. So we could be in for a great one this evening.
Hopefully we are, and certainly for St. Louis fans, they'll be hoping to get back on the winning way. The last 5 games, 4 losses and 1 draw. It's been such a contrast from their incredible US Open Cup performances to a situation where they're struggling to pick up any league wins. And they are a much more mature team than the team they are facing. There's 5 18-year-olds in this Bethlehem Steel side. You would think that St. Louis will look at that and say, hey guys, we're older, we're more mature, we can dominate this match, and we can get the 3 points that we so desperately need.
And for St. Louis FC, they have seen an uptick in attendance since their Open Cup run, but now you got to keep them coming through the doors by winning in the league and moving up towards those playoff places. St. Louis, a point off of Bethlehem in the table after their win last weekend. They're 3 points off of Charlotte Independence in the final playoff place, but they do have 4 games in hand, but at a certain point, games in hand have to turn into victories for the St. Louis FC side, who have not won since April the 27th in USL Championship. And it will be match day referee Matthew Thompson and St. Louis FC who get us started. St. Louis in desperate need of a win as they play host to Bethlehem Steel. It's been 3 months since the host last won in the league. A magical run in the US Open Cup was a distraction, but that's over now, and it's 2 more losses in a row to add to a 9-match winless run in USL Championship for St. Louis FC, including a 4-1 defeat last weekend against Tampa Bay Rowdies. As for the visitors, Tomas Romero, the hero last Saturday night with 12 saves and a clean sheet to earn himself USL Player of the Week in a 1-0 victory for Bethlehem away to Louisville City. Walter Cortez with a cracking goal, decisive in that one, and that win has Bethlehem currently above St. Louis in the East as we play tonight. And here's the opportunity on here for Zach Zandy, approaching for Bethlehem Steel into the penalty area. Now get turned as the cross is clipped towards the back post from Ryan there. Paris G sticking a boot in to get clear.
Yeah, Issa Ryan starting in that sort of attacking position, and he's been scoring goals for fun in recent weeks. Lovely, lovely striker of the ball, and he's going to be somebody that St. Louis are going to have to keep an eye on. As if they'd improve their defensive situation. They've gone from keeping so many clean sheets and keeping it tight. 0.6 goals conceded early on in the season. Now in the last 6 matches, 2.2 goals per game. Not good enough in defense for St. Louis.
Kyle Gregg sticking his back to goal and winning the free kick there for St. Louis FC. Scored the consolation goal. Match against Tampa Bay Rowdies, 4-1. And the goal at the time made it a 3-1. And Tampa Bay, one of the top sides in the USL Championship this season, and looked the superior side on the night. It's one of the few times that Anthony Pulis conceded that the better team won on the night during this winless run, as Dakers now goes down. Another decision to make and another free kick awarded for St. Louis FC in a dangerous area.
Yeah, so Lewis Hilton most likely to take the free kick, and this is where they were early on in the season. They got a lot of joy, and in fact against Tampa Bay Rowdies they got a goal from a corner. Kyle Gregg from the Lewis Hilton corner. So, and Sam Fink early on weighed in with a couple from set pieces. So if you have to score from set pieces when you're going through a bad spell to get you onto winning ways, who cares? Get the ball in the back of the net. So great opportunity early on for St. Louis.
And straight away, one of the new players in the St. Louis side, Colin Fernandez and Master Kasher, are the first time starters tonight. Fernandez over this free kick, as is Lewis Hilton. 3 gathering around the penalty spot. Take a look at the beautiful St. Louis kits as Hilton will swing in. It's hit with pace, but headed away in that penalty area by James Chambers, and will come for Paris G, who will try and loft back in. Sam Fink, who we highlighted in the pre-match, gets the head to it towards Kavita, but again dealt with by Bethlehem Steel.
A good early pressure. Lovely ball in from Lewis Hilton. Just couldn't quite find a St. Louis head, but whipped in, and it came back from Paris G. Sam Fink, rising above all the Bethlehem Steel defenders, and again just couldn't quite find one of his own players. But nice positive start from St. Louis. And Coach Anthony Pulis making a few changes.
As G hits the ball over the top towards Kyle Gregg, who couldn't quite settle his touch. And it just rolls harmlessly out of play in front of the St. Louligans. The best support groups you see in the USL.
They certainly are. They're great fun to watch. And just saying that Anthony Pulis has made a few changes. He's kept Kyle Gregg in there, and he's taken Russell Cicerone out and Caleb Calvert. So making a few changes, and as you mentioned, bringing in Master Kasher, 23-year-old, to see if he can do something up front.
As a free kick now given away by St. Louis FC. And Yomi Shintu going down. Partnered last week up top with Ferris and sort of drifted to wide areas in central. It's certainly worth noting St. Louis FC normally play in a 4-4-2. Tonight looks a bit like 4-3-3 with Master Kasher playing on that left-hand side. Normally Cicerone or Dakers would. Dakers on the right and Gregg up top, with Colin Fernandez joining a midfield three in the middle, as the free kick is played short now. Coming out to this left-hand side, Walter Cortez sliding out towards Ben Ofemu. Now here's the goal scorer from last weekend, Cortez with a cross in. Gomez out to punch away. And now here's Master Kasher, the Algerian. He grew up in Canada. Came through the setup at Montreal Impact in Major League Soccer. As will be a throw-in for St. Louis.
I was going to say, good punch there from Thomas Gomez. Came out positively. Was a little bit worried that there might be some contacts. Rather than catch it, he punched it away. Two-fisted punch, and got the ball away to safety. But it shows you early on, Bethlehem Steel also looking to put pressure on St. Louis. Maybe they feel now is a good time to play Anthony Pulis' side. And so they'll be looking for victory. Both teams just outside the playoffs. So this is a crucial match tonight.
And for Anthony Pulis, turning into a couple of players that are only recent signings. Master Kasher and Colin Fernandez coming in around the same time, about a week and a half ago. Going straight into the team as substitutes, and with 5 senior players out in the form of Audi Jepson, Joaquin Rivas, Gaia Bend, Albert Dikwa, and Matt Thomas, another recent signing, all dealing with long-term injury. Those guys immediately asked to step in without really much in the way of training with their sides and try and make an impact.
It shows you what Anthony Pulis is trying to do. He's just trying to shake things up and say, right, the guys I normally rely on who've been performing most of the season are not doing it in recent weeks. Let's bring in fresh blood. Let's give the likes of Russell Cicerone, who for me is a top-class player. And maybe he feels a little spell on the bench just might liven those players up and bring them back into the fray next week.
Especially after heavy fixture congestion, where Cicerone would have featured in a number of matches in a row in a short space of time, as it's given away on that far side. Cole Turner laying it off and sent forward there towards Ryan, who does appear to be leading the line tonight, a player who is featured all over for Brendan Burke in this Bethlehem Steel side. As a nice touch settled there by Fernandez for Kadeem Dakers to charge on. Can slide in Kyle Gregg! And well off his line, Tomas Romero. He made 12 saves a weekend ago, and a first and a decent one on the night this evening.
Yeah, well done to the goalkeeper. Lovely ball slipped through here. Kyle Gregg able to get past that back line, but the keeper out and big and strong. Makes a crucial save.
And this corner is presented by Electro Savings. Lewis Hilton to swing in for cued at the penalty spot. It's taken short, and Colin Fernandez wasn't alert to it. Waste of a corner there. Now a chance for Bethlehem Steel to head on the counter as Ryan can keep it in play. Not too many options running with him. Now the tackle snapping in from Fernandez, and the referee is going to award advantage from an earlier tackle that snapped in from Fernandez. And those are just the sorts of things that go wrong when you're on a run that St. Louis are at the moment.
Yeah, and when you're bringing in players who are not used to the system, and a little embarrassing moment, but they need to get over that. And it's important that these players who come on with fresh legs and a new approach remain positive. Fernandez, in particular, and Master Cashier as well. They've got to try and spread that positiveness amongst a team that is struggling to find their confidence.
FAMU partnering with Mark McKenzie tonight at the back. McKenzie, a player who's regularly featured for Philadelphia Union, 18 starts a year ago. Switch is played over towards Walter Cortez, who moves from right back to left back this evening. Scored a sensational goal, didn't he, in the win over Louisville last weekend.
Beautiful strike with that left foot of his. Stunning, stunning finish from the left full back. And Issa Ryan as well scored a couple against New York Red Bulls. So they've got some good finishers in this Bethlehem Steel side. And what's amazing is they're so young as well. I mean, these are potential stars of the future. You mentioned FAMU at 18, Harriel at 18, Walter Cortez 19, and Mark McKenzie 20. That's your back four. Average age of 19. Amazing.
Cortez high up the field, winning the ball. Not trying to find the option with Zandy, but a late tackle snapped in from Oscar Umar, and it's a free kick for Bethlehem Steel right on the edge of the penalty area.
Dangerous position. Well won by Cortez. Tricky little player, gets away from that one. Just, I'm not so sure there was really enough for a foul, but he sells it, and that's part of being a good young professional, Walter Cortez.
Should say, though, those tackles are snapping in from Umar right around that line of the penalty area. That 2 inches the other way could have very easily been awarded as a penalty kick.
Yeah, very risky. Maybe he just knew where he was and felt he could make those risky tackles just outside his box. And Thomas Gomez just lining up his two-man wall.
You hear him shouting.
Get
Clear
across,
as day from our pitch side microphones. The only veteran in this side over this free kick, James Chambers, 32 years of age. Now can deliver one. It's hit low and with pace, but Gomez reading it off the bounce and claiming that one after James Chambers delivered a decent free kick.
Yeah, it was a good free kick, and the whole idea there, I think, was to try and put Thomas Gomez off. I think it was Nathan Harriel who ran in front of the ball, and that's not easy as a goalkeeper. Shot on target and somebody blocks your view, legally blocks your view by running across it. Keeper doing well just to gather the ball.
Free kick again taken quickly, and again to no one in particular. Some frustration there from set piece opportunities for the St. Louis side, and we've seen them before on a number of occasions score from set pieces, so to put a few of them to waste would not please the manager whatsoever.
And we saw a little glimpse of Anthony Pulis, and we had a chance to chat to him a couple of days ago, and yeah, it's a very frustrating time for them. They were just so brilliant in the US Open Cup, and they're unable to find that in the league. And he said we have to get back to basics, and what made us a good team at the beginning of the season was keeping clean sheets and being organized and being tough to break down, and that's what he'll be expecting from his team tonight.
Nice interchange now between Cashier and G on that left-hand side. Left-footed deliveries in towards Dakers, and Cortez winning the header. Second ball will come for Lewis Hilton. Quality delivery there into that penalty area now. Good triangles worked here by St. Louis as the cross attempted, cut out. And there will be a corner, an electro savings corner for St. Louis. Maybe they can work this one a bit better.
And once again, Lewis Hilton, a very, very good deliverer of the ball. Be aiming for the likes of Sam Fink, player to focus on, and Kyle Gregg, who scored last week. Maybe they'll try and just get the better of some of these younger defenders, move them around, to try and use some of their greater experience.
Fernandez and his left to send this one in towards that near post. Cavita was arriving. Well defended there by Nathan Harriel. It will be a throw-in for St. Louis. Interesting, we've seen all year Lewis Hilton take all of the set pieces, but Fernandez brings a bit of that quality, and with the left rather than the right.
And something different. The coach obviously feeling that they're too easy to read, St. Louis, and a fresh approach might make the difference.
As Boehner tries to send across through the area, Gregg was making the run, but well cut up by McKenzie, and again, sweeping clear. Lewis have been on the front foot here to start this match, and desperate need of 3 points, especially as well when you look at the fixtures. This is a team just above them in the table, and away weekend to assign towards the top of the table in New York Red Bulls 2.
They've been scoring goals for fun. New York Red Bulls, they've been knocking the balls with 8 past Atlanta 2 the other day. So they desperately need the 3 points here. If they don't, they just slip further and further away from the playoffs. And wouldn't it be a tragedy if a team that has been brilliant in the US Open Cup didn't make the playoffs because they focus so much on the cup? And it's a free kick given away there. And I think we discussed it at the time. We did a couple of those cup matches, and just you wonder, is it a good thing for a USL team to go too far in the Open Cup, stretch their resources too thin, pick up injuries? And maybe that's been the case for St. Louis.
And that is where you see it. It's more those front players, and we've seen St. Louis on their best day, particularly at the start of the season, started with a good run of form, one of the best starts in the history of this club. It's more when it starts to get stretched, and Anthony Pulis has turned at times to 3 and 4 academy kids on the bench just to fill out the squad. And that's where you feel the effects for some time, especially as well when you're playing so many matches in a tight space of time in the dead of summer. It just takes it out of your legs. We commentated on their match away to Charlotte, and we saw after about 70 minutes that it started to go from a conditioning point of view after they played in the week against Atlanta United.
But it's hard to forget the excitement of some of those wins. Chicago Fire was absolutely brilliant. And you know, they didn't win at Atlanta in the quarterfinals, but they put on a really tough show. It was only in the dying seconds that they conceded the second goal. So wonderful cup run, but doesn't help you in the USL Championship, and that's the problem.
I'm sure the fans that came out on the Wednesday night to watch their side beat FC Cincinnati will never forget that night out. Ultimately, isn't that what it's all about? As Cole Turner dinks it over the top, it's a good ball in the penalty area towards Nathan Harriel, who was making that overlapping run forward, but just offside in the judgment of the assistant.
So many good young players for Bethlehem Steel, and just to say again that the average age of St. Louis is round about 26. Only 2 players under 25 years of age, whereas Bethlehem Steel, the average age is around about 20. Roughly 6 years younger on average. 5 of them are 18-year-olds. That's if you exclude James Chambers, by the way, 32.
Right, 32 years of age.
Got to exclude him because he just messes up the averages.
You do feel bad for James Chambers because the most noteworthy portion of his role in the team is how old he is. He's only been reminded of it for 4 seasons. Now the all-time top scorer at the club, and on tonight his 104th appearance since the club's origins. And it's interesting, a new technical setup coming in at the overall club, Philadelphia Union and Bethlehem Steel, and the new technical director Ernst Tanner sort of asking what his role in the team was as Fernandez tries to send St. Louis on their way, cut out there by Bethlehem. As the second ball gets headed around, but Ernst Tanner asking, so why are we keeping a 32-year-old in our reserve, in our second side, in our USL side? And Brendan Burke clearly making the case for him. And sometimes you do need the 1 or 2 veterans to go along with all your youth so that they learn a bit more about professionalism and a bit more about what it takes to actually crack it in this game.
100% correct. It's so important to have that player of experience to pass on that knowledge. And as a player growing up, it's what you pick up in the locker room when you are allowed as a young player to sit there and you watch the professionals, how they prepare, what they say, how they cope with winning and losing, how they respond on the pitch. All those things are part of being a top-class professional. And with so many really talented, good kids at Bethlehem Steel, the professional part of it is part of their learning, and that's going to be picked up a lot from James Chambers. So yes, I agree. He plays an absolutely crucial role in this Bethlehem team.
Oscar Umar, a bit awkward there on the far side on that throw-in award, as Harriel looked like he picked the ball up before it had run out of play. As Hilton can run onto it, lay it off of Kadeem Dakers, who was the first time crossed towards that back post. Cashier trying to rise and win it, and eventually clear. Kavita. This looked like that narrow 4-4-2 shape with Shintu and Rayan up top, as now Dakers is played into space. Gets that touch to it if he can get the second before crossing the byline, and he does. Dakers just trying to dig it through. Still Dakers! And it nearly snuck in at that near post. And the defender and Tomas Romero doing just about enough.
Brilliant run from Kadeem Dakers there. That's what you need. Positive runs at the defense. cause some problems. He's got so much ability, Kadeem Dakers, and he does score a few goals, 2 in 16. Look at that bit of skill, keeps it in there. His head up, he's looking for someone to pass to, tries to flick it to Kyle Gregg. Kyle Gregg's too tightly marked to do much with it, just knocks it into Gregg there, knocks it back, and the keeper just making sure that Thomas Romero that it doesn't sneak in.
So Famu with the defensive touch, as Fernandez can send in the corner towards the edge of that 6-yard area, but James Chambers had it read and heads away. Second wave coming again, though. Here's Paris G again to send a cross in towards that penalty area. Gregg trying to flick on. Didn't quite come off for him. Now G again. Have gotten forward a few times, but it's mostly been St. Louis dictating the pattern of play.
Yep, they certainly have. This is a St. Louis I remember from earlier in the season. You know, set pieces, pressure. Teams that were coming to visit, they would be penned back. The St. Louligans would be going crazy, and maybe they're beginning to find their old form again, St. Louis. But of course, goals are what make all the difference, and that's what so far they haven't been able to find.
I can tell you that tonight's match is brought to you in part by Maryville University. Score the winning goal at Maryville with personalized education, nationally ranked academics, and Division II athletics. Learn more at maryville.edu. As cross attempted there by Cortez, multiple shouts for handball there against Matt Boehner, and it is awarded. Would have been a corner or a free kick, and it will be pulled back by Matthew Thompson, our matchday referee. And Bethlehem have another opportunity to whip the ball into the penalty area.
Have a look at this again. I mean, how do you not cover your face when the ball's about to strike? I guess his arm's a little bit too far away there. It's one of those instinctive reactions. You put your hand up before it clubs you in the face. Anyway, these days often given. And set piece for the visitors, and it's the 32-year-old.
Poor Chambers.
Yeah, he's going to always get described like that. But just to repeat again, that he's doing a fantastic job passing on his wealth of knowledge to these wonderful young players.
Having a word there with Zach Zandy. Wonder what they have in mind as Chambers will leave it short here. Cortez now to measure the cross towards that back post. Header across that area, trying to get in there, Shintu, but it's Gomez who catches Shintu. Whistle for the foul before Gomez could claim.
Yeah, well done, Gomez. Nice and positive comes up, but good move there from Bethlehem. Still ball played across to Cortez from Chambers, knocks it into the box, header into the danger area. They didn't get anything from it, but it was well worked.
Akers just trying to get a touch to it, but couldn't quite settle it down. The two teams played just over a month ago. It was a 3-1 to Bethlehem Steel. James Chambers, Ferris, and Walter Cortez. Score sheet on the night. Cortez, 2 goals in his last 4, including that match. From a full back position, you see Bethlehem getting goals from all over.
What a good talent. I'm so excited to watch them and see players that you know will almost certainly be playing at a much higher level in years to come. And that's the big test for St. Louis, is that they know these kids are talented. They also know they're young and inexperienced, and they've got to try and find the gaps and use their greater experience to good effect.
Oscar Umar is deputized in the injury of Gaia Ben, the Israeli man who's played a key role in the center of midfield. But Anthony Pulis in the week in our conversation with him, praising what Umar has brought to the team, and says that a lot of what we do well goes through him. Sprays the ball out there for Matt Boehner. Sam Fink. Umar is playing in behind Hilton and Fernandez. Looks like 4-1-4-1 at the moment, as G tries to send it down that line. A cutout, and Chambers flicking on a nice leave there. Crunching tackle through Rayon there from Fink, and eventually the referee will pull that back and whistle for the free kick. You wonder if further discipline coming here for Sam Fink.
Just a little quiet word from the referee, Mr. Matthew Thompson, just to say careful there. That was just a little bit late, a little bit off the ball perhaps. Maybe also we're talking about the greater age difference. Maybe that's just a little bump there for 18-year-old Issa Ryan to say, hey, I'm big, I'm strong, I'm Sam Fink, and you're not going to have things easy here today. Yeah, just sort of stepped into him a bit. Nothing serious.
You see Bethlehem Steel mostly electing to take their free kick short. Continue playing as Cole Turner slides it for Shivani Willis. His 16th start of the year. 21 matches. One of a few players in this team tonight are fairly regular. Chambers on 18 starts. Lisa Ryan on 16. Benofamio on 18. Regular first team experience. As Cortez now works against Dakers. And it just loses out in the end.
Good skills he's got. He was dragging that ball with his left foot back and over, and to do that at the pace he was going at is not easy. He certainly has. We've seen him score some good goals, as you mentioned. Lovely, lovely strike last week in that victory against Louisville City. I think he's a real talent on that left-hand side, Walter Cortez.
Hernandez tries to settle. It does come for Umar. Despite St. Louis on a poor run in the league, they've only lost just once at home. That was to Birmingham Legion. Most of their defeats have come on their travels. Just need to get back to winning ways here at the Worldwide Technology as Boehner hits the first time cross towards Hilton. Unmarked from 8 yards out and couldn't keep his header down.
That is a great opportunity for Lewis Hilton, and surely he knows that he's having a few words with himself there. You've got to head that down, even if it means jumping up in order to head it down. It's a lovely ball going to get whipped in here. It gets played to Carl Gregg. He knocks it out to Boehner. He whips it in. That's the perfect cross. Lewis Hilton has got to knock it down, and then he's almost certain to score. And he knows it. Yeah, he's fuming with himself, and those are the chances that have gone begging. They were taking them early in the season.
Giveaway as Fernandez was threatening. Casher able to settle it, and now G. St. Louis try and pack on some more pressure. You have to say that that's a flawless cross from Matt Boehner on that right-hand side.
Perfect. That was the thing. Lewis Hilton didn't even have to jump. It was that good a cross. All he had to do was head it down. He's kind of stuck it over the crossbar. He's not the most prolific of scorers. He hasn't scored in 17 matches. Maybe that's something he must look at. For someone who runs from midfield, you've got to be scoring 2 or 3 surely in 17 matches, and certainly that one should have forced the keeper either into a brilliant save or should have hit the back of the net.
It's a bit of a different role for him tonight, a bit further forward with Umar holding, making those late runs in the penalty area. He normally is the creator and distributor and has done so to great effect, Lewis Hilton, with 7 assists in all competitions. Not a few goals, though, putting on a moment like that. First great opportunity of the match, you should say, for either team. Cortez. You see Bethlehem, as you see a lot of these sides connected to MLS clubs, loving to play from the back and establish those principles, but given away there in the center by Shintu. Comes from the lower leagues in Germany, playing that strike partnership with Ryan tonight.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of Issa Ryan. Such a good player. As we mentioned, 2 goals against New York Red Bulls. First one with his right, the second with his left, so he knows how to slot them either side. I think he's a real talent.
Has that versatility as well, playing at times as a midfielder and at times as a defender and now as a center forward. He is all over. As Chambers plays it towards Harriel. A 1-2 work with Willis. A nice return ball, but a bit overcooked. Surface not necessarily coming to his aid there. And a throw in for St. Louis.
Paris G back in the team. He's sort of been a bit in and out over the last few weeks. Nothing. To be fair, Anthony Pulis making quite a few changes. Some players have not seen regular games. He's one of them. Sean Reynolds has been in and out. Thomas Gomez and Jake Finlayson have been swapping roles. The coach has just been trying to find that team that did so well for him early in the season, trying to find a similar combination right now. And so far, to be fair, they look really good, St. Louis, but for the fact they haven't hit the back of the net.
And Anthony Pulis did tell us in the week that he didn't want to start against Tampa Bay, the side that had most regularly produced those defensive results, which included Sean Reynolds at left back, but give away 4 goals, and it's back to the drawing board. Here's Cole Turner.
His quote to us was, "Consistency and clarity are needed."
And we're going to see a booking here for Oscar Umar for a late tackle in the center of the park. Just snapping in a bit late, wasn't it, from the Ghanaian? And after we saw that earlier from Sam Fink, Umar earns a place in Matthew Thompson's book. You have a look here at the tackle that came in from Umar.
It was a little bit late, and it's right on his foot. Yeah, I can understand why that's a yellow. That's probably what they've been told. Oscar Umar and a few of the bigger players at St. Louis is use your physical strength against this younger Bethlehem Steel side and see if they flinch, see if they back off or not.
Zach Zandy feeling the brunt end of that one. As Chambers will play it all the way back with keeper Tomas Romero. Native of North Lauderdale in Florida.
What a match he had last game out against Louisville City. Did he make some wonderful saves? And not just 1 or 2, but 5, 6, 7 top class saves. Fantastic agility in goals. And a youngster, only 18 years of age.
Yeah, was the youngest goalkeeper in USL history to start a game at the time in April of 2017. So it would have been a 16-year-old, possibly even a 15-year-old at that time. Extraordinary. See some of these clubs giving chances to youth. Great in particular for the future of the national side if clubs are bringing through these players at this young of an age. And you see Bethlehem Steel all over their squad have players that have featured in US U18s, US U20s, US U17s. And these clubs can only do good for the growth of the overall game in this country.
Oh, 100%, I agree with that. It's so important to have players blooded young and to become proper professionals. Again, we come back to the importance of James Chambers and that he plays that role of helping them learn, not make mistakes like this.
And here's a chance on here for Masha Kasher, excuse me. And well dealt with eventually at the back after bit of an error from Bethlehem Steel.
Some finger pointing there, Mark McKenzie and 1 or 2 of the defenders looking at each other, allowing the ball to bounce and not clearing it quickly. And that they won't be allowed to do too often as they climb up the ranks. You've got to deal with dangerous balls immediately if you're central defenders.
As Chambers does eventually just get it clear. Kavita, though, sending it back from where it came. 7 balls on here. Boehner able to win it. Now more running for Kadeem Dakers to do. He's been asked to achieve some pretty impossible tasks with his running on that right-hand side. Throw in for Matt Boehner to take. See another great crowd here at the Worldwide Technology, and they want to see their side score a goal here.
Some concerned looks on those faces.
As Dakers goes down, the tackle came in from Zandy. We play on. He was trying to raise his boot to get a cross in, and he went down. Referee unmoved.
Dakers isn't appealing too much. I think if it is a penalty, you stand up and you have a go at the referee. He didn't seem to be too upset by the decision, so only assume that he thought it wasn't a penalty either. There was a moment where the referee had to make the decision. He's talking about that crowd a moment ago. Just so many faces there that seemed to be different from early on in the season. Those matches we did where everyone was jumping up and down and goals were being scored and it was party time, and a lot more tense these days. And yet their home record is so good, 1 loss in 13, that you have to feel that's, if it's going to be turned around, it's going to be at home with their home games. That's good. That's why this match is so vitally important for St. Louis.
Turner with Chambers. Central midfield partnership on the day. Bethlehem Steel coming in a real scalp in the USL Championship win away at Slugger Field against the champions. Even if you're bunkering and defending most of the match, it's a real accomplishment. Romero making all those saves. The defining win of the campaign as tackle comes through. Yomi Shintu there, and a free kick again for Bethlehem Steel.
I think Kavita just getting a little bit too stuck in there, and Omar also gets a word from the referee. Between them, they somehow brought him down. Shintu, and again a free kick in a reasonably dangerous position. Shintu's a good target man as well. What is he, about 6'2" or 3"? Get a decent ball towards him, he could cause some problems for the St. Louis defense.
You see the establishing of the fundamentals. They're actually arm in arm there on the edge of that area to establish their distances. Chambers and Cortez over the free kick. As the free kick comes through, and Gomez does get a touch to it, but it ran out of play and out for the corner.
I think Chambers was trying to catch him out at his near post there, because that ended up just being a shot. Gomez reading it quite comfortably, although failing to gather the ball. I think that was a cheeky little one from Chambers there.
As it's taken short here, multiple dings through the area. Ryan eventually trying to settle it. St. Louis partially clearing their lines, but Bethlehem still on it. Through McKenzie. McKenzie, an under-20 international with the United States. Has appeared for Philadelphia Union on this campaign when Austin Trusty was sent off in a match against LA Galaxy. Cortez cutting inside, laying it off here with Cole Turner, withdrawn and playing it towards Zandy, who tries to flick on. It was a decent idea, but Shintu not reading it, and it comes to Gomez.
Yep, well tried. That's what you got to do. Be creative, see if you can get the breakthrough. Didn't work this time. It might very well happen for Zandy and company as the match goes on. Here's Hilton trying to get a nice little counter-attack going.
And Dakers finding himself in space as well. Heavy touch from Fernandez, but does settle it with Casher, who's shot through the penalty area. Came off of Femu and then Romero. Eventually dealt with, but a bit awkward at the back there for Bethlehem Steel.
Yeah, goalkeeper, good reflexes. I don't think Femu could get out the way quick enough and easily enough, so comes off him. Goalkeeper just does what he has to do, reacts, gets the ball away from danger.
Again, Dakers asked to run onto it. McKenzie across. Dakers sliding to try and keep it in play, but he could not do so. He certainly had to put in a shift down that right-hand side. Kadeem Dakers this evening.
He's putting his arms up as if to say, really? Can't you get a little bit close to me, please? Rather than something I have to chase all the way to the touchline. Just going back to that Afemu moment where the goalkeeper Romero had to respond. That's the sort of pressure that, even if it's an own goal, no matter what it is, pressure can create problems, it can create opportunities. And that's what St. Louis have to keep doing, and seeing if one of those moments will actually end up in a goal for them.
Greg with a high boot to try and win it back. Now Hilton is taken off it by Ryan, and eventually a free kick awarded for St. Louis FC. Might they send a ball long into the penalty area? We'll just take it short here with Fink. Long ball switched out to Master Casher. Cutting onto his right. Steps as if he's measuring a shot. Instead it comes here for Boehner. Takes it wide. Again, Sandy can try and play the cross in. And it will come out for an Electro Savings corner for St. Louis FC.
Another set piece, another opportunity to get Sam Fink or Kyle Gregg on the end of this. And they've got to start taking these opportunities, St. Louis. You work hard to win the set pieces. You've got the personnel who can finish them off. We've already seen Hilton miss a great chance with a header. Let's see if Colin Fernandez can get a decent ball into the box and see what happens.
It will be Fernandez who will take from the near side. It's short here with Casher. Now Hilton, they continue to pass the ball through. He'll come here for Oscar Umar. who can measure a shot. Instead slides it again for Cashier. Interchange here with Colin Fernandez, who goes for goal. And it wasn't far away into that back stanchion. Colin Fernandez trying to go outside the boot.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure for a moment if he was trying to cross that. It ends up being a shot that just goes wide of the post. And there were so many options there. I was wondering who was going to, they were all lining up. One was going to take a shot, then another. Was it going to be a pass? In the end, ends up with a shot wide of goal. I'd like to think that was meant. That wasn't meant, Romero. He's not happy with that, sticking the ball out of play and losing possession.
I can tell you that Electrical Connection has partnered with St. Louis FC to create a limited edition jersey flag. Flags are only $10 in the fan shop, with all revenue benefiting the Shop with a Cop program. Here's Shivani Willis for Bethlehem Steel. Nathan Harriel. Ivory Coast, but has played for the United States international competition at U18 level. Cole Turner, you don't see any options, and plays again with Ofemu. Now Willis trying to break lines here with Zandy, whose first touch is positive and can slide in Harriel, whose first time cross goes flying through and out of play for the goal kick.
A bad cross from Nathan Harriel. He knew straight away, put his hands up there, had two options in the box. And that was Shintu and Issa Ryan. He's got to try and get close to one of the two. In the end, puts it over the crossbar and out of touch. And you can see just by the way he's walking, his body language, he's going, man, I had a good chance there. Had time on the ball. Got to be a better delivery.
Made his debut earlier this year against North Carolina FC, now on 12 appearances for the year. Seen an aggression from both he and Cortez as Stakers goes down again. Now Greg trying to play that return ball as the clearance from McKenzie almost straight at our camera. Stakers again. Get a clean look at that incident from earlier, but twice going down and twice not earning any benefit of the doubt from our referee, Matthew Thompson.
I thought the boot was very high on Dakers, but maybe the ref just wanted to play on, which is also an acceptable decision.
Cashier. See real dynamism in his paces there. Leaving it with Fernandez. Pair of newcomers interchanging very neatly on that far side. Now Cashier to measure the crosses. Hit with pace. The header from Greg! Opening goal! And Kyle Gregg is starting to find his scoring form. It's now 3 in 4 for the center forward, and it's St. Louis who need the victory tonight, hitting the front.
Yeah, eventually it came. There was enough pressure. What a ball in from Cashier. What a great header from Kyle Gregg. Absolutely brilliant. Have a look at this interplay between Fernandez and the man who eventually crosses the ball, Cashier, and he gets a perfect cross. The keeper nearly gets it out. Thomas Romero. Have a look. The keeper gets a hand to it. But it's such a fantastic header from Kyle Gregg. Had power on it, and that's what beats the keeper. And that's what Kyle Gregg does so brilliantly. What a great header of the ball. And by the way, what a great cross from Cashier.
Hit with thunderous pace, that cross, as that goal is delivered by Domino's. Kyle Gregg, we've seen him win in the air a few times.
He certainly does.
We saw that goal that he scored against Loudoun United when Cicerone hit the cross in, and he wins the header.
Oh,
he's done really well in the air, hasn't he, Greg?
Oh, what a header that was at an angle. What a good ball from Cicerone as well. And that's why you've got to give Master Cashier a lot of credit. He gets that ball in perfectly. And the interplay with Colin Fernandez beforehand was, as you said at the time, was lovely interplay, but it wasn't for no purpose. It was to get the right angle, the right moment. He was aware of exactly where Kyle Gregg was, and he puts in the perfect cross. And that's the sort of pressure, to be fair, that results in goals. We were just saying something should come, and it has come for St. Louis. And now it's up to Bethlehem Steel to respond.
First start for St. Louis FC and a first assist for Master Cashier, the 23-year-old. Some dynamism on that far side as Hilton reading the play well, and now a chance on here for St. Louis FC on the counter-attack. Cashier again. Want to get around the defender, now spinning on it. And the referee waving play on again, as now Rayan can run in behind. There's Issa Rayan in the penalty area, around Fink towards that byline, trying to get the cross in. Sam Fink defending well. Rayan on the second bite at it. Sliding here with Chambers. And now Shivani Willis tries to dink it out towards Chambers, cut out. Only as far here as Harriel. Interesting decision there from the referee to allow play to continue. Bethlehem nearly profiting there. As here's Cortez coming forward. We've seen both fullbacks at times be the player furthest forward, whether it's Cortez on this side or Harriel on the other. Losing out there, Cortez. Now for a goal kick as Boehner clears it off him.
Got himself sort of stuck in the corner, Cortez, and he's got such a lovely left foot and such a comfortable way of controlling the ball. But once you're hemmed in by the defenders, there's nowhere to go really, except maybe to knock it off the defender for a corner. He chose to try and dribble past and lose his possession. This is a good situation just before halftime, just what Anthony Pulis would have wanted. And it comes from one of the new players that he's brought in. Well, crossed it anyway from Master Cashier. I think that will prove to the coach that he was right to make those changes. And it might fire up the likes of Russell Cicerone. Should have come on as a sub to say, hey, I need to start fighting for my place now.
As Greg can slide in, Paris G, who tries to leave it there for Cashier, could still be on for him, tries to bend one towards that far post. And it wasn't a bad idea for Master Cashier, who's playing with a bit of confidence right now. Confidence sorely missing from the St. Louis FC side during these last few months.
And exactly that. That's why he's been brought in. These new players, they come in with they bring a fresh breath of air into the team. They lift it, and certainly his cross for the goal has lifted this team. He took a bit of a pot shot. Again, not the best defending in the world from Bethlehem Steel.
We'll have a minimum of 1 minute to be added on at the end of this first half, presented by Paycor. Need more time in your business? Contact Paycor to handle your payroll and human resource needs. Switch hit there towards Cortez again forward. Now Zach Zandy. The second ball after Boehner won the header. Throw in for Bethlehem. The referee, before Zandy could take it, signals that it's St. Louis's throw. I'd imagine they'll take their sweet time, allowing the time to run out on this first half, which right now has St. Louis in front.
Yeah, perfect to go into halftime. 1-0 up, playing well, having created chances. Should be 2-0 up. I'll come back to that Lewis Hilton header. What a chance. Which, if they do drop any points today, they will look back on that as a missed chance. Lewis Hilton is obviously hoping they win 3 or 4-0 and everyone forgets about it.
Ball on there by Chambers, and Shintu, and Willis. Shivani Willis to have a go. And Gomez always had that one covered, and should be the last meaningful moment of this first half.
Yep, goalkeeper does well. Good example there of getting body behind the ball. So that if your hands don't hold the ball, your body does.
And there is the halftime whistle after fairly relentless pressure in this first half. St. Louis FC have the breakthrough through Kyle Gregg, who's got his 4th of the year in the USL Championship, 5th in all competitions. And the big center forward is starting to hit those scoring heights that he did a year ago. As we now have reached halftime. Halftime brought to you by Electrical Connection. Your score, St. Louis FC 1, Bethlehem Steel 0.
The excitement that is sweeping the nation has arrived in St. Louis.
And a goal! It's Cicerone!
Fans are loving the authentic soccer experience. Tailgating, cheering, chanting, and much more. It's a party you won't want to miss.
Goal! St. Louis FC! And a goal!
your tickets at stlouisfc.com.
Junior programs, basically there's two sides of it. There's a rec side and there's a select side, and basically it's for ages 2 to 12.
So you start off by doing a little bit of a warm-up.
It's a developmental, kind of want to introduce the players to the game and kind of all in a fun environment and create a positive experience.
Our staff is first class, our facilities first class, and it's really a first class program.
St. Louis FC at the break, leading by a goal to nil over Bethlehem Steel. Chris Whittingham, Gary Bailey here for commentary of this one as we are in halftime, brought to you by Electrical Connection. And Gary, I do like to tell you about everything going on around the USL Championship tonight. As of right now, actually, Phoenix Rising are going for a record 11 wins on the bounce as they take on Tulsa Roughnecks. They have been absolutely flying at the top of the West.
Brilliant as they were last season. They had a bit of a slow start to this season, but hell, have they picked up some speed. And of course, Asante up front being one of the superstars. We were wondering when Didier Drogba left, would it signal a little downturn? It certainly hasn't.
Yeah, you have to say they've been absolutely fantastic flying at the top of the West. Red Bulls 2 towards the top of the East. They beat Tampa Bay Rowdies there last night, now within 2 points of top spot in the Eastern Conference. I can now show you some of the scores from around USL this evening. In that Tulsa-Phoenix match, it is 0-0 as we approach halftime, but want to focus here on the Eastern Conference. Games going on right now. You see there, Swope Park Rangers and Charleston Battery actually postponed on account of weather in the Kansas City area. Nashville SC leading by 2-0 against Indy 11. Memphis 901 and Ottawa Fury level as we enter halftime. Earlier today, Pittsburgh Riverhounds beating Hartford Athletic by 4-2. A similar scoreline in North Carolina as they beat Atlanta United 2 by 4-2. As we can now show you the standings right now in the Eastern Conference. There you see the result affecting things for Tampa Bay Rowdies. With their loss now, Red Bulls 2 hot on their heels.
Yeah, Red Bulls 2 playing well and scoring a ton of goals. Look at their goal difference, 23. Indy 11 with a couple of games in hand. And St. Louis, as we speak, with this win, will get themselves into the playoff places just. But of course, there's still 45 minutes to go before they can assume they have all 3 points. And Louisville City, winners for the last couple of seasons, just a little bit off the pace. Not as good as they have been in the past couple of years.
Yeah, St. Louis right now with a victory would jump Bethlehem Steel, and Charlotte right now 1-0 down against Birmingham. St. Louis would be level on points and ahead in the wins tiebreaker, but of course have to see out these final 45 minutes. Your score at the break: St. Louis FC 1, Bethlehem Steel 0.
Sure, we're looking for donations of shoes and balls and of course money.
It's Freighter! What a hit!
Crossing in, it's a goal! Keeps it knocked away myself. Omar Salgado, the hometown hero.
Streaking run from John Suggs.
The cross keeps the winner. Another brace. Moore!
There's so much pride in this state. There's, I think, been so much pent-up demand in people who have just been looking for a way to shine and come through, and they're so capable. Some of the best people in the world live in New Mexico.
This idea was sort of born from that, you know, why don't we have a section in our stadium that is devoted entirely to the underserved, the underprivileged, you know, maybe kids who would never have the opportunity to come do this, or public servants in our community, firefighters, teachers.
It's really about uniting to the community. It's really about seeing positive outcomes for people. When I see a positive outcome for someone and I see someone start to believe in themselves more and understand what their capabilities are, it makes me feel so happy, because I think oftentimes people aren't in a situation where they're able to really fully shine. And we have, individually, we have so much inside. It's probably so much more than we're even allowed or think we can give every day. So let's create a platform that gives and encourages giving and encourages community. And I think if we do that, we can make a real change.
For example, we have the YMCA coming, so we gave 75 tickets there. There was 150 tickets went to Herman Sanchez Community Center, and then, you know, the others went to other kids in the community that really would not have this opportunity.
But by the way, if it was gone and someone else wanted to get in, we'd make it happen. It's for everybody.
So it's a way to spread goodwill in our own community to the people who need it most.
It's not just about a game anymore. You know, New Mexico is really out there making a statement.
We wanted everybody from, you know, Albuquerque to Santa Fe to the, you know, the eastern and western corners of the state, southern. You're part of this team. You're a part of this family. It's a movement, really, more than anything else, and we want everyone to know that they're a part of it. That's what our name means, United.
One of the better stories in USL Championship, New Mexico United. You see a bit of their community outreach there as St. Louis FC lead at the break here by 1-0 in electrical connection halftime. When St. Louis Scott Gallagher introduced the Living Legacy Fund in 2014, their goal was to award a minimum of 5 scholarships to deserving youth players. This year, the club will award more than 150 scholarships. Tonight, we learn more about how the Living Legacy makes it possible for young athletes to develop as players and people. Take a look.
What do you do on the field when you're tired, when you give everything you've got, but your coach is asking for one more push?
High level of focus, high level of discipline.
The hardest worker.
Good, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
She's a hard worker. They're all different in their own ways.
They have a huge heart and play with that heart.
He's an accountable kid.
He's a player that is really committed.
They never want to come out of a game.
She's very dedicated. Tremendously humble.
She's the kind of kid that you build a team around.
Just very humble, appreciative, always says thank you. You know, little things like that that never goes unnoticed by a coach.
Always expresses the values, so much passion.
Open up, play. Good, everyone, let's go. How fast can we play? Challenge yourself to play the fastest.
I think the Lindsay family would be really proud of him because of his the way he represents himself on the field and represents the club on the field.
But when you look at the club, it's more about just trophies. It's about building people and building the character, and really just making sure you're conscious of that experience that you're being afforded.
I think that the Klipfel family can be really proud of Sarah with how good a role model she is and how well she fits into the culture of the ECNO program and the goalkeeping program.
The Dooley family would be proud of Mary because she's a type of kid who is a great voice within the team. She's a leader.
That's probably the good part. You see young kids playing and kids get to play that probably wouldn't be able to play, and it's a good program.
The Twellman family would be proud. She's got a great personality. The kids look up to her. She's always willing to go above and beyond and do what's ever needed for the team.
And I think she'd be, she's smiling, looking down, knowing that there's kids that are playing in her name and that her name's living on with the club that, meant a lot to our family.
I think the Ryan family would be proud of someone that is willing to fight, that is willing to compete on the field, that is trying to get better, that will find avenues to improve, which I think replicates what that scholarship represents, right? Someone that fights, that is going to compete for his team, and that will try to do that extra inch to get better and to get better for his team.
The Fahrenkamp family would be so proud of Elmine. He gives 110% nonstop. He's would not be in the situation where he could play for the club if it wasn't for the Fahrenkamp family.
Just grateful that that these players are able to play for her, and also recognizing that they're getting this opportunity because of her.
This scholarship enables him to be on the field, and if it wasn't for this scholarship, who knows where he'd be playing.
This scholarship gives them the opportunity to do what they love, and it's because of this fund that they're able to participate.
Without this scholarship, they would not have the opportunity to play at a level that will make them develop into the soccer players that they want to be.
Powerful locked ankle touch with the inside part of your foot.
And that a closer look at St. Louis Scott Gallagher and the Living Legacy Fund. We return first half highlights and second half kickoff.
Excitement that is sweeping the nation has arrived in St. Louis.
And a goal! It's Cicerone!
Fans are loving the authentic soccer experience. Tailgating, cheering, chanting, and much more. It's a party you won't want to miss.
Goal! St. Louis FC! And a goal!
Get your tickets at stlouisfc.com.
Hops with the opposite foot, and then when I say make it bigger, it just means get a bigger V.
I think it's really important that, one, they get feedback on what they're doing correctly and what they could do better, letting them get the repetitions over and over and over again and making sure they're doing it right.
Powerful locked ankle touch with the inside part of your foot.
This is my opportunity to help them get better and teach them, and that's, you know, what I spend most of my time during training, you know, focused on, is improving that overall technique.
St. Louis leading by a goal to nil at the break. An electrical connection halftime as we can get straight away into our first half highlights, brought to you in part by Maryville University. Score the winning goal at Maryville with personalized education, nationally ranked academics, and Division II athletics. Learn more at maryville.edu. And Gary Bailey, it would be St. Louis FC who would hit the front in this one, but first a couple of chances, beginning first with James Chambers' free kick at Tomas Gomez.
Yeah, tricky one for Tomas Gomez, bodies flying in front of him, but this is the goal. Some lovely interplay there from Colin Fernandez and Master Cashier. Cashier then puts deep. This is actually not the goal. Sorry, I'm one step ahead here. I thought there was a goal coming. This is early on. Dacre's on the right-hand side here. Fantastic run, keeps it in play here. He looks to see if he can find Carl Gregg. Carl Gregg is there. He turns and just can't quite get that in there. Romero just making 100% sure. There's a lovely little bit of skill here, isn't there, as he keeps this ball in play. And Carl Gregg just a little bit too tightly marked there by Ofemu and can't get to turn around and get the shot on target. And you'll see it's mostly St. Louis here. Boehner on the right-hand side, and St. Louis attacking through Boehner and Dacres time and time again. Lovely little ball here. Gregg puts it wide. This is a chance for Lewis Hilton. He has got to hit target. If the keeper makes a world-class save, that's one thing, but that ball is perfectly put in from Boehner. And Lewis Hilton, even if he jumps a little bit, he can make sure he heads it down. Now this is the goal, the interplay between Colin Fernandez, Master Cachet. He puts the perfect ball in, whips it in as well. Carl Gregg with a magnificent header that puts them 1-0 up at halftime.
And it's funny looking at it, how similar the interchanges were on that far side between Cashier and Fernandez. You see a real combination building there, but the cross eventually coming for Gregg. And it's 1-0 to St. Louis as we begin the second half. Bethlehem Steel getting us started, going from left to right wearing the all-white. St. Louis in their customary home green and blues, who have the lead at the break and now could really do with a clean sheet. It's been some time for them since they've kept a clean sheet in USL Championship. It's without one in 7. We'll have to keep this Bethlehem Steel side at bay, who you would imagine would change the tactic a little bit. We're on the back foot quite a bit in that first half. They might give it a go now in this second that they're 1-0 down.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to push out a little bit and attack a little bit more. Cortez has been good down that left-hand side, but St. Louis's home form as well. 1 loss in 13 at home, and 8 of those are wins. They are formidable at home, St. Louis, and there's no reason why they shouldn't go on 1-0 up. They shouldn't go on to win this, even though they've been having a bad spell. But Bethlehem still have so many good youngsters, such good talent up front, that they're certainly going to test the St. Louis defense. This is where our player to watch, Sam Fink, will have to be at his best today.
Chambers will just hit it long here for Harriel, who's come forward. Does knot it down here for Yomi Shintu. Tries to return, but instead cut out there by Kavita. Now Colin Fernandez. That outlet ball, and you see just that addition of creativity in the center of midfield for St. Louis. As McKenzie wins the header, but Greg can win the second. Just leave it there for Dakers. Cortez coming through. Again, Dakers on the turf. It'll be a free kick for St. Louis. And finally, Kadeem Dakers gets a decision his way.
He's not happy. Cortez offering a sort of friendship handshake there, and Kadeem Dakers just ignored it. It's like, I've had enough of being kicked and pushed around, thank you. I'm looking to see how the teams come out in the second half. Will it be a positive St. Louis? Will it be a team that's lacking in confidence and just is thinking of holding on to their 1-0 lead? Certainly Coach Anthony Pulis will want them to attack and get a second and maybe a third, but sometimes you worry if you've got a lack of confidence, you'll just play it safe.
As Hilton goes charging through, has a goal! And what a strike it is from Lewis Hilton! Didn't bury the header in the first half, but makes amends in the second with a wonder strike. 2-0 St. Louis.
Brilliant strike. It's his first of the season. Doesn't give goalkeeper Romero any chance. The goalkeeper of the week last week cannot stop this. When Lewis Hilton lines up to shoot, you're thinking, is he going to have a go? He hasn't scored all season. There he is. He gets it. He looks up and he sticks that right in the top corner. Brilliant finish from Lewis Hilton.
Sensational. And what a way to get your first of the year. Lewis Hilton, who's been allowed to make a few more runs towards the penalty area than he would be accustomed to, and gets a cracking second goal for St. Louis FC, which is delivered by Domino's.
Domino's have delivered 2 great goals so far. That was a 1-1, and the header by Carl Gregg first half was brilliant. I think you're right, Lewis Hilton pushing further forward. He's got 1 fantastic goal. To be fair, he should have 2. He's in danger when he comes forward. And
now Harriel cutting onto his left and testing Tomas Gomez, who was well measured and getting down to his left.
Good save from the goalkeeper. Nice run by Harriel, but we're just saying that certainly for Lewis Hilton in midfield, maybe it's going to be a more regular slot for him, because he's had 1 great chance. He's scored a fantastic goal, and Anthony Pulis is probably thinking, why don't I play him there more often?
Now Dakers catching McKenzie. Here's Dakers! Punishing Mark McKenzie and sliding in. Yet more comfort for St. Louis FC. They lead by 3-0, less than 5 minutes after the restart.
They are back, St. Louis. Look at that, 3-0. The fans love it. And an error waiting there. Mark McKenzie, what are you doing? You can't let the ball drop. Kadeem Dakers pounces on it. At last, we see Dakers smile. He's been kicked and pushed and shoved. And now he's got his goal. And it looks like it's a comfortable situation for St. Louis. That's within 4 minutes of the second half. And don't tell me it's another great goal delivered by Domino's.
It is indeed a St. Louis FC goal delivered by Domino's. Why not? St. Louis have been waiting for this dam to break for a while. For Bethlehem Steel, we got a nice win away from home. Last time out, kept the clean sheet, but did allow 32 shots. They needed 12 saves from their goalkeeper to beat Louisville City. That's probably not a replicable formula. As now Cashier can charge on, avoiding the tackle of Ofemu and carrying on. Now sliding in Kyle Gregg. Real verve now coming from this St. Louis side. Returns for Paris G. Fernandez. And you see just a bit of confidence flowing through the side and what it can do for professional athletes when they're playing with confidence.
It's his home form again for St. Louis. They've got such a brilliant home form. They've got great fans that push them on, and they always seem to deliver results at home.
Now Dakers finding himself in space. Master Cashier. Now he'll measure one, having a go. And this time, Tomas Romero summoning the response in goal. Snuff out that chance.
Good save from the goalkeeper, good hands. And Cashier showing that positiveness, and I think we have to give Coach Anthony Pulis a lot of credit here. He's brought in 2 new faces in Colin Fernandez and Master Cashier. He's done it to try and get some confidence into the team, and what a difference they have made. Cashier with the cross for the opening goal by Kyle Gregg. Lewis Hilton pushed into that more attacking role and with an incredible second. And Dakers for all his hard work, the third. And that really is good credit for the manager, the changes he's made. Sometimes you live by them, sometimes you die by them. Today it's all worked out for him.
You see Brendan Burke now going to try and find a response from his bench. His turn to Schneider Borgelin, who's being prepared to come on. You wait who will come on for in a moment. St. Louis, you can really see them, even when they were playing well, at times struggled to find that second goal. Akers taking advantage after Lewis Hilton came flying forward and provided a thunderbolt that gave them 2-0. Akers giving them 3. And you have to say as well, the defensive pressure doing well, but a very composed finish in front of a goalkeeper on form, as Cashier now cutting onto his right, leaving it with Fernandez, tries to bend it towards Dakers. So come for Hilton again. The strike wasn't as good that time. The header from Cashier on the follow goes harmlessly out of play, as we'll now have the change. And it will be Shintu who will make way for Schneider Borgelin, the 17-year-old youth international with Haiti. Will make his 11th substitute appearance of the year in a substitution. It is brought to you by Cigna.
It makes sense for the coach to make a change. They're 3-0 down. He's got to try and do something different. See if he can get them back in the match. If they score 1, you never know. A little bit of confidence in the Bethlehem Steel side, and they can get themselves back in this match. But that's why the coach has to make that change.
Russell Cicerone being prepared to come on for St. Louis. You wonder if the fitness of the newer players is not yet at its peak with new additions, and it's not on top form when entering the club. That's Dakers. Well, actually, it's not going to be one of the new players who makes way. It's Kadeem Dakers. I wonder if Anthony Pulis saw the amount of running that Dakers did in the first half and said, we'll give you an early night. He does leave with his goal, his 3rd of the year. And you have to say, with his industry, creating the pressure up top, creates it himself.
He did so well in the first half, bombing down that right-hand side, getting crosses in there. He's had a fantastic game. And he might feel a little bit upset that he's been taken off, having scored, but and the coach can see that he hasn't got much gas left in the tank. He's got a few kicks as well. He's had everything in this match, hasn't he?
He's had a busy night, and Anthony Pulis would be appreciative. And there's a quick word with him there, his club manager, who has achieved a few firsts with St. Louis. First trip to the USL playoffs a year ago. This year, first time into the round of 16, much less the quarterfinal, the Open Cup for this club. And now, for where that next first might be at the moment, it's a first win in 10 that will feel most significant in the USL Championship. Incredible for a club to go 3 months without winning. They have had a few postponed matches in there. It's not a full fixture list, but still no wins in 9. Back to winning ways tonight, and just keeping track of the Birmingham Legion Charlotte Independence result. Birmingham right now, 1 goal to the good against Charlotte Independence. That these combination of results would see St. Louis through to a playoff place with games still in hand remaining, as it's awkward here between Kavita and his fellow St. Louis FC players, as a late tackle will come in here from Shivani Willis on Paris G, and the referee is going to have a word. And Tomas Gomez wasn't pleased with it whatsoever, and is going to need the referee to sort this one out.
Thomas Gomez being sent back by the referee and saying, don't get involved, it's not your business. The referee being nice and firm, which is good refereeing by Matthew Thompson. Keeper goes for it. There's nothing, really. It's just a small bump in the back by Shivani Willis on Paris G. I don't think there's any nastiness in it. Sometimes players like to use the opportunity just to ruffle a few feathers, so Thomas Gomez quickly out to defend Paris G.
While we were showing you the challenge, he got booked. He gets the yellow and straight away gets subbed off. The Jamaican Willis will make way for Axel Picasso. Came through the youth setup at Club America and Liga MX. Grew up in Mexico. Eventually moved to the States and settled in at Austin, Texas. And as an 18-year-old, makes his 7th substitute appearance of the year for Bethlehem Steel.
Another 18-year-old. It's amazing how many good youngsters Bethlehem Steel bring through. And what we must always bear in mind with them is they're a much, much younger side, and it's difficult for their coach, Brendan Burke, to achieve great success when you're constantly bringing through and blooding youngsters.
Imagine among the more difficult things to find with younger players would be consistency of performance. As Cortez cuts inside towards Chambers, edge of the penalty area. Now going to try and dig it towards Harold. Did he time his run? Is he onside? He is indeed. The flag staying down. Kavita sliding in and giving away the corner.
It's more positive from the visitors, attacking, trying to put pressure on that St. Louis defense. Defense that has been conceding way too often, so maybe they feel they can still get some joy out of this match.
Now Chambers. And Zandy. Goes across through that area. Cut up by Oscar Umar. On the bounce, could come here for Picasso. One back by Greg, and turning on it nicely, Mastakasher, who is away on his first start. Already has an assist, trying to cut it back, but Ofemu was tracking and won it back for Bethlehem Steel. Harriel. Chambers with Turner. Now Cortez again, the one to come forward.
You know, this is what St. Louis were good at early in the season. They get into a lead. They all get behind the ball as they are. They close down. They deny you space. They used to defend so many leads and get away with the full 3 points.
Bethlehem unable to get that service into the penalty area. We'll settle here now for Ofemu, and you'd imagine St. Louis FC will look to hit on counterattacks. Comfortable in their 3-0 advantage.
If you're Bethlehem Steel, I still feel you should be looking for Issa Ryan. He's such a good finisher. Try and get the ball to him. He's the one who's most likely to unlock that St. Louis defense.
Turner. Here's the aforementioned Ryan. Now interchange here as Zach Zandy tries to go through. Not trying to win it back. Bethlehem Steel trying to play through St. Louis FC at the moment without a ton of space. McKenzie. For Bethlehem Steel, an even split with their last 6 results. It'll now be 3 wins and 4 losses in their last 7 if this result holds. But 3 wins, 3 losses in their last 6. And getting them back into contention for the playoff places. Part of the forgiving 1 through 10 playoff format in the USL this year.
But a loss here, and the fact they've played that many more games in St. Louis will make it a bit more difficult for Bethlehem Steel to make it into that top 10.
Enough pace on it to get it towards Harriel there from Sandy, and G able to get it clear. Now Greg can hit on the counterattack. Got the touch to it. McKenzie across.
That's where Greg's so good. He's the outlet for them. Just takes the pressure off, wins the throw, allows the entire St. Louis team to push their way up. And able to walk, in fact, take a bit of a breather. And the goal scored today, it's the first time in 3 games that St. Louis have scored in open play. If you go back to the match against Tampa last week, it was a corner that Kyle Gregg scored from. And the 2-1 loss to Charlotte was another corner that Calvert scored from. And before that was a 2-0 loss to Atlanta, where they didn't score. So at last, goals from open play for St. Louis.
And there's the substitute Borgelin trying to get onto it. And Oscar Umar have to be a bit careful here. He is sitting on a yellow card and has put in a few tackles tonight, even after earning that booking from the referee.
Yep. It should change your play. Once you're on a yellow, you can't afford to lunge in on anything. Oscar Umar's style of play is to get stuck in, so you're quite right. He's going to have to play very intelligently for the next half an hour or risk a second yellow.
And that just might be the lifeline that allows Bethlehem Steel back into it, and that's Anthony Pulis would not want to see at the moment.
He wants that clean sheet. It's so important for confidence of a defense. If they won this 3-1 St. Louis, I'm sure they'd be delighted, but 3-0 clean sheet, it just changes something in the way you feel about yourself and the confidence you have.
Zandy right in the tackle of Greg and slides a great ball through towards Harriel, who's in again, Nathan Harriel! And Tomas Gomez standing strong to keep that clean sheet.
Good save from the keeper there, Thomas Gomez. Absolutely vital there. What a good ball and what a good run from Nathan Harriel. Could he have hit it harder at the end? Difficult to say. He was under quite a bit of pressure. Just shows you Bethlehem Steel have the ability to break through, and St. Louis will have to be careful.
Cicerone was making the run in behind there, but Hilton Nor Fernandez spotting it. Now just keeping the ball here, St. Louis FC. We have seen Harriel from a right back position make a few runs into the box as the furthest man forward and trying to get in behind, and has done so successfully now on a couple of occasions.
I think both the fullbacks push forward a lot. Well, Walter Cortez on the left, always getting forward, and so too Harriel.
Casher having a blinder right now, trying to slide in Greg. And just took Nick on the way through. We've seen real inspiration down that left-hand side, and Cicerone now just needing a night off and back to fitness, a choice for Anthony Pulis in the wide areas. Have Casher, Dakers, and Cicerone, and only 2 can play.
That's a situation you want as a manager. Players fighting for positions, putting in lots of effort. And at the end of the day, you get the best out of players when they're under pressure.
As it's clipped towards James Chambers, just trying to get it across. It's a dangerous ball through if there are any runners, but Gomez able to play it on one hop without any real threat from Bethlehem Steel.
And you also think that for Gomez, this could be his chance. A good result today, clean sheet. Gets his regular starting spot back. It's been mostly Jake Finlayson this season. But slowly, Thomas Gomez, with a couple of fantastic US Open Cup performances, has worked his way back into the team. And once again, good competition for places in the St. Louis side.
And it is almost guaranteed as well that when results aren't going a team's way, they will change goalkeepers at a certain point, especially when they have a competition there. And it seemed inevitable that at some point in this run for St. Louis FC that they were going to make that change. And Gomez, who did concede the 4 goals last weekend to Tampa Bay Rowdies, but could be on his way to his first clean sheet in the league in 2019. Kept 7 a year ago. Twice a Golden Glove winner with Rochester Rhinos. His free kick there for St. Louis.
I think when you have a goalkeeper as good as Thomas Gomez, and as you say, has won awards in the last couple of seasons, as Lewis Hilton's just arguing with the referee, I think, you know, you ultimately feel that he should get back in. But Jake Finlayson's made it very difficult. Fantastic start to the season, and you couldn't leave Finlayson out when you're winning most of your games. So Thomas Gomez had to be patient, had to use the cup as his chance to show what he could do. And was it the Chicago Fire match that he made that wonderful triple save?
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely
early stages in
brilliant.
that one as
Yeah.
well.
When you start doing that, you will catch your manager's eye and eventually work your way back into the team.
Throw in now for St. Louis. We got 2 quick goals. Oh, they're both scored 5 minutes on either side of halftime. And Greg's opener in 41 minutes. Lewis Hilton on 47 and Dakers on 49. As Cicerone can play it down this right-hand side. Option short here with Lewis Hilton, who does well to settle it in the penalty area. Now Hilton trying to find the option. Will leave it for Oscar Umar! A heat-seeking missile, but Tomas Romero doing very well to parry away and spare Bethlehem's blushes.
Once again, this young goalkeeper, just 18 years of age, makes a fantastic save. Man of the match against Louisville last week in that 1-0 win. Hasn't had much of a chance with the goal so far, but have a look at the way he saves this from Oscar Umar. The ball flying in, hits it so well. Keeper spreads himself and makes the save. There you get the angle. What a good young talent this Tomas Romero is.
What a strike as well from Oscar Umar. As we now come to an electro-saving corner as Hilton will play it towards that near post diving header coming in from Fink. There you see here his set piece threat. Able to direct it on target.
I always think if you're Sam Fink there and you're struggling to reach it, just flick it on, because there's a chance that somebody in the box might get on the end of it. I think he was battling to make a decent contact, but that's where he can be so dangerous and why he has a number of goals, although most of them have come from the penalty spot, to be fair. But he has also been a huge danger from set pieces, Sam Fink, and him doing what he did right there is part of what made St. Louis successful in the early part of the season. Good to see Sam Fink back and causing problems.
There's a couple of goals, including the goal against FC Cincinnati that sent them through to the quarterfinal of the Cup. 3 goals from the penalty spot as well in the league. Interesting to have a central defender as your spot kick taker, but Fink handed the assignment and has done well with it. Here is Fink. Boehner. Now Kavita. He's partnered with Fink in every single match in the USL Championship, occasionally in a back 3, but also in those 2 in the center of defense. That's Fink stepping to win the ball, and now leave it with Hilton. See, Fink wanted to charge on, but he's got to retreat back to his defensive position. Here's Cicerone now cutting on to his left. Could he ever go with his left? And Romero could only watch as Cicerone's effort just wide of target.
Great effort from Cicerone, and as we said, he's been shaken up a little bit. Master Cashier's come in and done well, so he's not necessarily a regular starter. And what does it do? It forces you to raise your game, and he's come on here with a view to showing his manager, Anthony Pulis, that he cannot be left out of the side. And the best way to do that is to score a couple of goals, or certainly come close, and that was a wonderful strike. And it's St. Louis still putting the pressure on, so Bethlehem Steel 3-0 down. Time is beginning to run out for them.
Femu. Nice leave there from Borgelin, but couldn't find a fellow white shirt. And Hilton for Cicerone. There have been opportunities for St. Louis FC on the counterattack. I imagine they will continue the rest of this evening as they now look truly comfortable with the 3-0 lead. A few tests, most of them coming from Nathan Harriel of Bethlehem Steel. Mostly kept the visitors at bay.
There hasn't been too much, has there, from Bethlehem Steel? A team with a lot of talented players who can cause so many problems, and scored 3 against New York Red Bulls.
Here's a substitute, Picasso towards that byline, trying to slide it to keep it in play. They run out of play first. And out for the goal kick.
Just saying, they do score goals. 3 against New York Red Bulls. Their away form's not bad. 4 wins from 8. So it just hasn't, they really haven't done much yet tonight. And as I said, the time is running out to do anything. I I just wonder though, to come out of a second half 1-0 down and concede 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, that's mental strength. That's what you miss sometimes when you have young players. Because for me, they had to come out firing. 1-0 down away from home, you come out second half, you're at St. Louis, and instead it's the opposite. They concede 2 goals in 5 minutes, match effectively over. And that's where they have to improve, Bethlehem Steel, mentally, be stronger. If they can get something out of this game, they can still do something last 20 minutes. I will be impressed.
Famu winning the header. There's quite a coming together in the center of the park there. Cashier, the unfortunate victim, squished in between 2 Bethlehem Steel players. Was it Fernandez? Either way, it's a free kick for St. Louis FC.
One of them who hits you is a Famu, who's 6'2". Look how solid he is. There's James Chambers coming in from the other side. So yeah, it's not the sort of defenders you want hitting you. But they've got the free kick. And with confidence high, no reason why they shouldn't get a decent ball in the box and try and get on the end of it.
Hilton and Fernandez over it. So we're still sending numbers forward as Hilton played the cross and it's short. Hits the first man. You know, try and settle it to make sure they're not hit on the counter. G hitting it over the top, and that's one way to not get hit on the counter.
And not Lewis Hilton's best free kick. You could see him remonstrating with himself after that ball was too easily cleared by the Bethlehem Steel defense.
And here is the final change for Brendan Burke. Cole Turner will make way for Selmir Miscic. The 16-year-old will come on for Bethlehem Steel, just try and change things. Second substitute appearance of the year for Miscic. And the last throw of the dice from Brendan Burke is now they're trying to play out of the back. Goalkeeper and McKenzie allows it to run out of play for a corner. An Electro Savings corner following the substitution brought to you by Cigna.
16-year-old thrown on to try and win a game. That's a tall order for Selmir Miscic. Let's see what the young man can do. We wish him well.
It'll be Colin Fernandez over the corner. We had a bit of insult to injury here for Bethlehem Steel. And Fernandez is going to have to wait a second as Matthew Thompson is settling the contact in that penalty area. Matt Boehner trying to make life difficult for Tomas Romero, standing right next to him. James Chambers, the captain, not pleased. So a few more words exchanged there. Now what will Fernandez do with the corner? It's short again. It's time for Hilton, who will loft it in with his left. Fink with a tug of the shirt in the penalty area. And the referee not going to award the penalty there against Beno Famu, but dangerous, you'd have to say.
Oh, I saw a tug there. I definitely saw a shirt being pulled back. But there's no VAR, and it's very difficult for the referee to give that on a glimpse, because you're watching so many players. Referee Matthew Thompson. Obviously, if you have VAR, you can focus in on the one player, but I thought I saw a shirt tug. Fortunately, at 3-0, it doesn't become a major talking issue. If that was 0-0, might be a different story.
Might it have been awarded at 0-0?
It's difficult for referee to award unless he sees it absolutely clearly. In a box where there's so many players all running around, it's you've got to have eyes in the back of your head as a referee, and even then you might not see it.
As the cross gets played towards that back post, but nobody there. Just sort of symbolic of Bethlehem's struggles on the night, as you see a young player coming on here for St. Louis FC. The second substitute appearance for the 19-year-old Nishi Vlastos. One of St. Louis's academy players getting an opportunity. And it'll be Colin Fernandez who will make way. A solid contributor in his first start for St. Louis FC, bringing some of that creativity.
Got himself a good round of applause from the faithful at the ground who appreciate what he's done, and probably most important of all, he's just brought confidence and something new and different to the team, and it certainly has worked wonders.
15 minutes plus for Vlastos to come on, and straight away he's won the ball. He's gotten around one defender, settling it with Cashier, couldn't quite settle it down. And now James Chambers and Master Cashier having some words. James Chambers wasn't pleased at all with something that Cashier did. And was setting up as well as if it was a free kick when it was a throw-in. Bit odd that. Can tell you as well that Bethlehem Steel, the only Philadelphia-based club struggling tonight. Philadelphia Union away from home tonight in Montreal, losing by 4-0. Major League Soccer play.
Be a bad day overall. It's 3-0 here, 4-0 with the senior team. It's not been a good day. Often when you got the chance to step up, if the first team is losing and you're winning, you can go, well, use me because we're playing well. But I don't think Bethlehem Steel players can say that today. Really haven't performed. I was sort of expecting more from them, having seen some of their good recent performances. But again, if we go back to Louisville City, the last match, it was a 1-0 win, but they conceded a whole ton of shots, and but for a brilliant performance from Thomas Romero, they probably could have got beat. So maybe Bethlehem Steel needing to still up their game a little bit more.
Ariel. Now with Chambers. Can tell you that tonight's match is brought to you by Maryville University. More on that in a moment as Cortez was coming forward, and now a chance for St. Louis State on the counter. Scored the winning goal at Maryville with personalized education, nationally ranked academics, and Division II athletics. Learn more at maryville.edu. Another tackle coming in there from Chambers. Did recently serve a suspension for yellow card accumulation on 7 yellows for the year.
I think there's a frustrated figure because as the senior player, bearing in mind that virtually everyone is 10 years and more younger than the 32-year-old is, it's his job to sort of lead them to victory, to control it, to get the best out of the players. And of course, when you're losing 3-0, the first place that Coach Brendan Burke's going to look is to James Chambers and say, how could you have affected the game more? What could you have done? How could you have brought the young players into it? So I think Chambers feeling the frustrations of this game on behalf of the rest of the Bethlehem Steel side.
Giving away a free kick there. Bethlehem Steel. A bit away from the play. We can't tell you a full-time result in Birmingham as Birmingham Legion have defeated Charlotte Independence by a 0-0. That leaves St. Louis in 10th, the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference should the results hold, and a chance as well for St. Louis to perhaps climb the table a little bit as they have some games in hand on the teams both above and below them.
I think of their remaining 17, St. Louis 10 are at home, 7 away. Given what a fantastic home record they have and a fantastic home crowd, you would think they, from this moment onwards, should be able to secure their playoff place.
As will be Hilton, who again played and again hits Bethlehem player on the edge of the area. The service hasn't been brilliant tonight, but we'll come here for G. And now Boehner, who came to this left-hand side, does well to knot it down. G switching the point of attack for Lewis Hilton. Again, getting the return ball. Lewis Hilton, better cross that time. And Ofemu cutting out at the near post.
That was a good cross. Carl Gregg was running in there, and Thomas Romero, the keeper, had been drawn out. That cross was just a little bit higher. Could have resulted in a goal. But as it is, with 10 minutes to go, another man who's been left out or dropped, however you would like to phrase it. Caleb Calvert's coming on for Carl Gregg. So Calvert was someone to prove, as Cicerone has.
And Calvert, player was probably seen coming into the year as a like-for-like with Kyle Gregg, has occasionally partnered with him, but this is probably more what Anthony Pulis had in mind as second striker for Gregg. And see if he can continue to make an impact. He's on 2 goals for the year. Scoring in the match against his former club, Charlotte Independence. 2 weeks ago. Free kick and electro savings corner, I should say, for Lewis Hilton and St. Louis FC. On 80 minutes, comfortably seeing out this lead as the header came in there. Fink among those threatening, as was Kavita, but winning their positions in a foul manner in the judgment of the referee and a free kick for Bethlehem. I have to say, since Kadeem Dakers slid past Tomas Romero for 3-0, St. Louis FC has been very comfortable.
Very comfortable. If you're a Bethlehem Steel fan, way too comfortable, because at 3-0, you've got to start chucking everything at St. Louis to try and get yourself back in the match. Yes, Thomas Gomez has made a couple of saves, but I don't think he's been tested a lot here today. And so you concede 3, you don't create many opportunities. Not been a good day for Bethlehem Steel. Yes, a lot of youngsters, we get that 5 18-year-olds, 1 16-year-old. That's phenomenal, and that has to be taken into account. But still, not enough from the visitors here today. And let's just be fair to St. Louis, a perfect performance so far. 3 goals and a clean sheet.
Chambers going to go first time into that penalty area. It's a good ball in. The back heel is on. Charging through there, Ryan. And it came off a green shirt last for the corner. As the corner comes in, nodded away there by Boehner at the near post, rather by Cicerone. Lofted forward and nodded down there for Picasso. Nice interchange here on the edge of the area. Pass is coming, flying through. As the cross will now come in.
Zandy there's got to be one of those players that has the ability to get them back into the match. 8 minutes left, you've got to do something. Meanwhile, Thomas Gomez is going to do the opposite. He's just going to slow it down, take his time, knock it long. And really from here on inwards, even though it has been very comfortable for St. Louis since they went up, this is all about just winding the clock down. Don't do anything silly, don't allow them back in the game. Although at 3-0, even 1 goal is not going to really make much of a difference. He's got to work hard, and that's what St. Louis have always been good at. Russell Cicerone, always good at closing down on wide positions. With the green shirts, they hassle you, they make it so difficult for you to attack.
Vlasto's there, the one winning the ball. And now Calvert spotted the run of Cicerone and slides in a great ball through into the penalty area. Peeling back, Cashier! And what a flourish that would have been to end his tremendous performance on the night.
Yeah, he has played well. He's got the assist, but he's really got to hit target from there. And the ball was beautifully laid in by Cicerone. You can't afford. It's one thing if the keeper saves it, but if you miss target completely, it's not good enough. But let's take nothing away from his cross for the first goal, and his overall performance has been fantastic for St. Louis. Brandenburg's got injury problems. He's got a team struggling to create. 3-0 and conceding way too many. Tough moments for the Bethlehem Steel coach.
Some results from elsewhere in the USL Championship in the Eastern Conference. Earlier today, Pittsburgh Riverhounds winning by 4 goals to 2 over Hartford Athletic. 3 goals in the first half for Pittsburgh. 4 goals in the first half for North Carolina FC as they beat Atlanta United 2 by 4 goals to 2. I did notice the goal scorers for Atlanta United 2. We'll tell you more about him in a moment as Shannon's on here for Axel Picasso. Axel Picasso standing here with Ofemu. The second goal scorer for Atlanta United 2, Bienvenu Kanakimana. Bienvenu, his first name, is tremendous.
Wow. And where's he from? Any idea?
That is a question that I will now attempt to answer.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
But bienvenue, I believe that's welcome in French.
I think you might be right.
Look up where he is from, but one of the Atlanta United 2 players who's from Burundi.
Burundi, Central Africa.
Just played out from the back there by Romero.
For those who wonder why he has a French name, it's a French-speaking country, and Africa has a variety of languages spoken depending on who colonized. So there's lots of Portuguese areas such as Angola and Mozambique. There's English-speaking such as South Africa and Zambia. You have the French with Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire. And then you even have some Belgium states.
Cicerone will lay it back here for Hilton. Now chance here for Vlastos. Second chance in 2 minutes. First, Cashier wide, that time Vlastos. Opportunities for exclamation points here for St. Louis FC.
Vlastos, the 19-year-old, could see the glory, could see the headlines. It was all set up for him. Good run down the right-hand side there. Head up, finds the ball that just ricochets. Vlastos set up. Oh, he tries to, I think he just tries to thread it in the post. You can see it from here. And it just goes wide. Wouldn't it have been wonderful for the young man to have scored tonight? Not to be. Nonetheless, still a very good performance all round by St. Louis. Difficult to find any weaknesses. Lewis Hilton was superb in midfield. Kyle Gregg up front got the crucial opener and was a good target man. And so far they have the clean sheet, which makes Thomas Gomez a very happy goalkeeper. So, wow, if you're St. Louis, every single box ticked so far this evening.
Tomas Romero, who even despite giving away 3 goals, has still made some fantastic saves on the night.
He has made some very, very good saves, and I don't think he had a chance. Kyle Gregg's header had so much pace, and what a fantastic header it was. Lewis Hilton's shot was absolutely brilliant. And then there was the one-on-one with Dakers. So, yeah, you can't blame the keeper.
Now, Ryan trying to slide in Zandy. Let her run here for Walter Cortez. Far forward, the center back Ofemu is as Zandy goes down from the tackle from Painter. This clearance goes whacking off of Ofemu and out for the goal kick.
It goes out in the corner where all the Louisville fans are. I mean, sorry, the St. Louis fans are. The St. Louligans, I was trying to say. And they're still jumping up and down and singing, and Anthony Pulis, a happy man. Good result, clean sheet, fans love it. You won't see him smiling at the moment, but I think underneath he's very relieved because it really has been a bad spell. Last 5 games, 4 losses and 1 draw, in absolute stark contrast to where they were early on in the season. And in fact, the way they were playing early on, you should have fancied them to be in the top 5 at least. So the fact they've scraped themselves back into 10th place is good news for the coach.
Free kick there as Calvert goes through McKenzie. Coming up for St. Louis after tonight, the trip to New York Red Bulls 2, one of the top sides in USL, much less the Eastern Conference. 2 points off of Tampa Bay Rowdies after beating the Rowdies last night. And it's 3 matches in 9 days for Anthony Pulis' men, a makeup from a postponement against Memphis 901 earlier this year, a week from Wednesday, and then back here at the Worldwide Technology 2 weeks from tonight against Charleston Battery. This interchange there as Ryan have his run met. Zandy's return, and now Cicerone again to charge on. Still has some fresh legs coming on as a second half substitute. Cicerone sliding it across towards Cashier. And the last minute defending for Bethlehem Steel as Cashier again having the chance to get his goal. You probably have to say he deserves.
He certainly does deserve it, and you get excited from a St. Louis perspective when you think of Cashier up front and Kyle Gregg and Russell Cicerone and Caleb Calvert, all good strikers, and you got a good choice from them. Maybe you can even play 3 of them up front and really attack teams and cause teams all sorts of problems.
Now just second half stoppage time away from their first clean sheet in 8 and their first win in 10. As Hilton is slid in now, still putting in the hard yards to measure the cross. It overhit. Cashier frustrated as he couldn't keep it in play.
Yeah, Lewis Hilton's had a few of those today. He's normally so good with his service. That one overhit. There was a free kick about 10-15 minutes ago that he was underhit. His header early on that normally hit Berry. And yet we forget all of that because he scored an unbelievable second goal in the top corner. So just ignore everything I've said there, Lewis Hilton.
As we are in stoppage time, presented by Paycor. Need more time in your business? Contact Paycor to handle your payroll and human resources needs. 3 minutes will be added on at the end of this one. 3 minutes for St. Louis FC to hang on to a first victory in exactly 3 months. It was April the 27th, a victory over Swope Park Rangers by 3-1. The last time they won a league match, they have embarked on a full run in the U.S. Open Cup since that victory, which culminated with them arriving into the quarterfinal after victories against Des Moines Menace, Forward Madison of USL League One, and MLS opposition against Chicago Fire and FC Cincinnati, before eventually losing to Atlanta United in the quarterfinal of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Not a bad way to go out against the MLS champions.
Absolutely. Brilliant, brilliant cup run, and they almost deserve to finish in the playoffs. It would be a tragedy if they finished 11th or 12th after that cup run, because it's taken a lot out of them, no question. And it was an unbelievable performance on behalf of the USL Championship. And right now they're guaranteed the 3 points here that sees them back in the top 10. Difficult away matches starting with New York Red Bulls, but it's a 10 home matches, not the 7 away matches, where I think they will get the points they need to finish comfortably in the top 10. And then it's about arriving in the playoffs in form or on form. And the St. Louis side certainly have the ability, and now they've added, of course, the likes of Cashier, who was absolutely crucial with that first goal. What a beautiful, beautiful cross that was. Whenever you strengthen the team, and they've added Colin Fernandez as well, they've got lots of strength and depth now, have St. Louis.
Ariel turning for Borgelin, who's not had too much joy since coming on as a sub, but gets to the byline here and tries to play the cross, and it will be a corner. Probably the last chance for Bethlehem Steel to get a consolation opening goal.
Borgelin, 17 years of age. Another potentially wonderful young talent that Bethlehem Steel are bringing through.
Selmir Miscic descended in, lofts it in. Gomez didn't quite get there, but St. Louis still winning there. Now here's Cortez, who had a wonder goal against Louisville and probably tried the same there. Chambers fluffing his lines. Now Vlastos, could he play in Cicerone? The full-time whistle coming first, and St. Louis FC have won for the first time in 3 months in the USL Championship. 2 goals after halftime, and it finishes St. Louis FC 3, Bethlehem Steel 0.
Carl Gregg with the opener. Anthony Pulis must be happy with his team. His emotions might not show it there, but Carl Gregg, we saw him a moment, there he is. And he's the man of the match. What a fantastic goal it was that opened up, and a good target man, a man who was able to relieve the pressure every time they kicked the ball clear of defense. But his opening goal, crucial. And Lewis Hilton, he was close to man of the match with that second goal. Absolutely stunning shot into the top corner.
As you have a look at the opening goal for Kyle Gregg, our Pleats Man of the Match, presented by Pleats Cleaners, as selected by our broadcast crew. Follow St. Louis FC on Twitter to vote the Pleats Man of the Match fan poll. And what an opening goal it was.
It was lovely ball in from Cashier, but Kyle Gregg had to turn his head. He had to whip that head around to add the pace, and it was the pace that made it so difficult for Thomas Romero to keep the ball out. And that man there, Lewis Hilton, get an unbelievable second goal. Mind you, we'll say he missed a good chance first half, but let's just skip over that and say what an incredible second goal it was. And then Dacres, who worked so hard on that right-hand side, took a lot of physical abuse, came in and got the third, and pretty much it was game over. Bethlehem still not offering too much in terms of putting the St. Louis defense under pressure.
And St. Louis with the first victory in 3 months, now into a playoff place. And our score at Edward Jones full-time. St. Louis 3, Bethlehem Steel 0. We're back with full-time reaction and highlights when we come back.
excitement that is sweeping the nation has arrived in St. Louis.
A shot and a goal! It's Cicerone!
Fans are loving the authentic soccer experience. Tailgating, cheering, chanting, and much more. It's a party you won't want to miss.
Goal! St. Louis FC! And a goal!
Get your tickets at stlouisfc.com.
And Edward Jones full time. It is St. Louis FC 3, Bethlehem Steel 0. A tremendous victory for the Eastern Conference side. Desperately needed it. And now they can go forward in their USL Championship schedule in the second half of the season now. Away to New York Red Bulls 2 next, as we can now get to our full-time highlights. Chris Whittingham, Gary Bailey here for a commentary of this one. And we'll start first with the chances for St. Louis FC. Here would be the cross-in from Master Casher and finds ahead of Kyle Gregg.
Yeah, once again, Kyle Gregg doing brilliant. He's got to sort of whip his head around it. Lovely interplay, by the way, between Fernandez and Casher. Casher turns. Look how he whips the ball. Doesn't just chip it, he whips it in. Kyle Gregg twists his neck. Have a look at the cross firstly. Just look at the whip that's applied on it. It drops, and then he whips his neck around and puts so much pace on that Thomas Romero can't keep the ball out the back of the net.
And here would be the second, well settled here. And eventually Lewis Hilton having a go, and how.
It's a wonderful strike, isn't it? I don't think the keeper got much of a hand to it, but Lewis Hilton surges through, hits that, and flies virtually into the top of the corner. Absolutely brilliant finish. Then in a couple of minutes, some poor defending. Dakers pounces on it, and after a hard match, Dakers gets something to take away, which is the third goal.
And a calm finish as well from Kadeem Dakers, who put in, as you said, Gary, his hard yards and made Mark McKenzie pay for that error at the back. As you now have a look at the full-time stats, shots well favoring St. Louis. The possession figures don't really tell the story of the match, you must say.
I think especially second half, Bethlehem still have more possession as they try to get back in the match, but 19 shots to 6. Yeah, not enough on target for St. Louis and virtually all on target for Bethlehem Steel, but 19 shots to 6. If you're Bethlehem Steel, those are not good stats. Didn't do enough, didn't cause enough problems, conceded 3 goals. Great day for St. Louis with a clean sheet. Not a good day for Bethlehem Steel. They need to work on that, but we always bear in mind the youngsters, they ended the match with a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a whole bunch of 18-year-olds. So in the end, St. Louis are back with a good win and a clean sheet.
And into a playoff place once again, now sitting in 10th in the Eastern Conference live table after Charlotte lost earlier tonight and St. Louis leapfrogging Bethlehem in the table with the victory tonight. It was Kyle Gregg just before halftime, Lewis Hilton and Kadeem Dakers just after, and a successful night for Anthony Pulis' men, who get their first win in the league in 3 months. It finishes St. Louis FC 3, Bethlehem Steel 0. For our tremendous USL crew and my broadcast partner, Gary Bailey, my name is Chris Whittingham, signing off.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.